Hey you! Welcome to Happy Sex Ed, the place on the internet where we get the sex education we wish we would have all gotten in high school, but we didn't, so now we're here. So, for my first video, I thought it would be super fun to answer some questions, so I did a little Instagram poll, and I was actually super happy with the questions I got. They were really diverse and really interesting, and yeah, so I'm super excited to answer your questions today and to go on this little journey together. Get yourself a tea or a coffee or some water and join me in this little video. So the first question or the first questions that I've gotten were these. They're kind of similar, so I'm just gonna answer them as one. And I believe the thing that for me was the most mind-blowing, the most important also, was the concept of arousal non-concordance. Now, they did a study, later by the way, I'm going to link all my sources in the info box in case you want to check it out. Okay, so they did a study where they measured the physical arousal of both men and women in response to sexual stimuli. Now, the super important thing that they found was that women showed arousal symptoms, so genital swelling, wetness, all of those, both to videos and images they liked, as well as to those they did not like, sometimes whatsoever. Now this is really interesting because for people with penises or for men this wasn't really the case. Men tended to show arousal symptoms in response to what they enjoyed, what evoked desire. Now why is this so crucial? If you think about it, this makes verbal consent absolutely critical. Because you cannot tell, based on a woman's physical reaction, whether or not she is enjoying herself. And unfortunately, we still live in a world where people excuse their actions towards women by saying, oh, but she was wet. Oh, but she came. But this is simply not an indicator of liking. When I learned it, super mind-blowing. I know it's very healing knowledge for a lot of women, because I know many people who have been in situations where they themselves were very confused about their physical reaction to something they did not like whatsoever. Now we're gonna move on to the next question that's a little bit lighter. It's this one. And it's not an easy question to answer because I have many, but if I just name a few, I would probably start with the Vagina Bible by Dr. Gunter. This book is really beautiful because it disentangles all the ways women are being told that something is wrong with their genitals. It's a really mind-blowing book. One of the things I learned in this book, for example, that I think is important for so many people with vaginas is that most women will not come from penetration alone. And this is something that we have all been told or taught or suggested at least. And this means that maybe there is something a little wrong with you. Maybe you're not relaxed enough. Maybe, but the truth of the matter is that no, that's normal. A penis may not be enough to make you come. You may need some extra. You need some other things, Which is something that this society also is not very happy about because, of course, the penis is the center of the universe. But yeah, very, very beautiful book if those kind of things interest you. Very liberating, very nice read. I would not necessarily suggest reading it from cover to cover because it really covers it all, but to kind of cherry pick what you're particularly interested in, and for that it's absolutely beautiful. Another book that I love is The Body Is Not an Apology from Sonia Renee Taylor. Amazing book, amazing cover. Now, this also applies to men, right? But especially as women, we have been basically from a super young age been told that there is something wrong with our body. It has to look a very specific way, and if it doesn't, then it should be your life's mission to change that. And this beautiful book disentangles all of those things and teaches the power of radical self-love and what that can look like and how liberating this can be. So, super, super important. I think for everyone living in the society we do, it's really difficult not to have any kind of body issues. Now, let's get to the next question. I'm going to turn the question around a little bit, is that we sometimes tend to believe, or we tend to be suggested a lot, that the Western world is the best place to express your sexuality freely, to be gay, to be non-binary, trans, to enjoy sex as a woman, but this may really not be the case. While of course there are horribly oppressive things happening in other cultures as well as this one, there are also some things that I thought were very surprising and very beautiful. For example, a lot of indigenous cultures value what they call two-spirited people. The two-spirited people of North America, for example, are what we would call non-binary people, and they have been accepted yet celebrated for such a long time. So what I find really interesting and really important to remember is that it's wrong to assume that other cultures are somehow behind when it comes to liberation, when it comes to equality, to equity. May not be the case. Not always, at least. Now, the next question is a little spicy. It's this one. I find it a very interesting one. It definitely would also deserve a whole video just about this. But just to name a couple little things, one thing that I find a good idea in such a situation where you want to kind of get a little bit of a spark, but you're not really interested in getting any tools to help you. You don't really want to go to the shop and buy something, would be to try edging. Now, what is edging? Edging is to bring your partner to the brink of orgasm repeatedly and to let the sexual tension build up, but not quite go there, at least not for a couple times. Now, that can be something fun to try. Something also would be slow motion sex, to really take a step back and be in the very moment you're in and do everything very slow and concentrate on what you're feeling, what you're experiencing in the moment, all the bodily sensations, also not only what you can feel, but also what you can smell, what you can taste, all of the senses, and to make sex a full body experience. Now, the next question that I got that I also thought was lovely was this one. Well, I love all of the questions, but yeah. And this question it's not super easy to answer, but I believe that the reason why society has such negative attitudes towards submissive men is that society, we all live in a patriarchal society, so society has very negative attitudes on women. And attributes that are traditionally associated with femininity. Now I say associated, not that it's the case. Like being submissive are naturally devalued because we associate them with being female. And we associate being female as being less than being male. And this has been the case for a long time. Now, a man who breaks out of this stereotype of the typical alpha, strong, independent, dominant male will naturally be devalued by the societal structures we live in. Now, it's also interesting that this is not the case in all of the societies, but in some indigenous cultures, this is again not the case, where the box a man has to be in and the box a woman has to be in are just less small. There is sometimes less of these super clear expectations of what a man should be, what a woman should be. And a submissive man may be seen as someone who is very in touch with his spirituality, very in touch with his emotions. In a way, he has a healing or even transformative energy to him. So I think what that shows is that we create those ideas. They're not God-given. They're not like biology determined. Men are not necessarily like this and women are like this. Now, of course, women and men have biological differences, which are important to remember if we want to reach equity. Not equality, but equity. But it's simply not the case that women are like this and they are submissive and they are weak on an emotional level and men are the opposite. And we know that. But society still hasn't accepted that. Now, if you want to go out there and be yourself and you want to be a man in a more submissive role, chances are that people may make fun of you, but you are part of the change and you are so needed, and you literally just by existing, because existing in the body that you want to be in is a political act. By just doing that, by just existing in the way that you are breaking down the system. And that is a very powerful and beautiful thing. Now, I've also gotten this question. Well, to be fair, I did say ask me anything, so of course I'm gonna answer it. And the place I miss most in India must be Goa, North Goa, Arousal. Amazing. The beaches, the parties, incredible. The second place I miss the most would be Varanasi, which is such a spiritual place. The energy there is incredible. And I wish every day to go back. Now, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have gotten something out of this video. I hope that you learned something new. And I hope you're excited for my next one, because I definitely am. If there's anything specific you want me to do, you want me to talk about, leave me a comment. And I'm looking forward to see you next time.